Get through.
WeatherScope.
Snow continues to fall in portions of the Midwest, especially around Chicago and the Great Lakes region. And in fact, that's our top story this afternoon. Welcome to WeatherScope. I'm Dennis Smith. For the latest conditions in that part of the country, let's join Bob Stokes in the Forecast Center.
Thanks a lot, Dennis. It is still snowing hard in parts of Chicago at Midway Airport. Heavy snow and blowing snow, and that continues to be in the forecast for the coming hours. But later this afternoon, as we go toward the evening hours, we are looking at the snow changing off into flurries as a low has a chance to move toward the northeast. Now, as far as this morning, it was not fun for commuters. In fact, some of you decided to turn around and go back home, but heavy snow and wind spoiled that morning commute in Chicagoland. People were delayed in traffic for hours, and again, some decided just to turn around and go back home. It wasn't worth it for them. And those who didn't drive had to endure the strong winds on those L platforms around the city. You're familiar with that. Not a good morning to be outside, and it's not a good time to be outside now in Chicagoland. Now, you'll notice at the leading edge of the snow right here, so it's not going to be too long before the snow gets out, but it's still going to be coming down for a time this afternoon. But as the low moves toward the northeast, we're looking at conditions improving going overnight. But with northerly winds coming down, the wind chills are going to be ferocious. They already are. And temperatures, the actual air temperatures will be in the teens. But the snows have been heavy. We are looking at a snowpack across the northern plains, the central plains. You'll notice the movement. Those are clouds, but what you see not moving here is all snowfall, and some of that still blowing around with strong northerly winds. As a matter of fact, Union, Nebraska, 16 inches. Des Moines, you had 12 inches of snowfall and 8-foot snow drifts. Also in Madison, Wisconsin, you had 6 inches of snow. So a lot of that is snow that you see on the ground. And there's a look at the actual graphic that shows right here in central Iowa, 12 inches or more of snowfall, and keep in mind those northerly winds still coming down, and so the visibilities are still poor. There could still be whiteout conditions in many locales. You're not really advised or encouraged to travel this afternoon because it's going to be a rough one across all those areas, even where it has stopped snowing. Let's take a look now and see where the snow is flying across the Midwest. See, behind the front, this is where all the Arctic areas. See these isobars? That means very strong winds coming down, and that means if you're going to be traveling, we want to remind you this in association with the Red Cross. If you get stuck while driving in this winter weather, it's advisable to stay in your car. Now, tie a brightly colored cloth to your antenna to show people or the law enforcement officials that you're stuck, and start your car and use the heater sparingly for 10 minutes every hour. That's something you want to keep in mind as we show you where blizzard warnings are in effect right there for several counties, including Lake, Muskegon, Mason, and Oceana counties. right there in the west central part of Michigan, where 6 to 9 inches of snow could fall. We're seeing some sleet in Kalamazoo, and also just generally blowing snow for a good chunk of this area. That's all snowfall coming down, and later it'll be moving into Detroit, where we're going to be looking at 2 to 3 inches of accumulation. Also, some heavy snow now in Gary, Indiana, in West Lafayette, Indiana, some heavy snow. Also in Indianapolis, you can see that dark green, the snow with winds out of the west at 25 miles per hour in Indianapolis. So that's creating some poor visibilities. You're not encouraged to drive there. Grand Rapids, Houghton Lake, all heavy snow now. And as far as temperatures go, it is 27 in Chicago, 23 in Green Bay. Bear in mind, Chicago, you started out above freezing this morning. It is -2 in Minot. Factor in the winds, and it feels like -21 in Minot, North Dakota. -6 in Green Bay, where the snow is blowing around still, and -3 is the wind chill factor in Chicago. So it's not an advisable time to get out. You may just want to stay indoors for a time. Keep it posted here on the Weather Channel, because for much of Michigan, it looks like the snow continuing to come down with lake-enhanced snow. Weather.com is the Weather Channel online. Join us there for all the weather you want. And now let's go back to the studio with Dennis Smith.
Thanks, Bob. It looks like rain and thunderstorms are a problem in the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast region, and later today those could even become severe. Looks like the rain's been kicking in this morning in Salem, New Hampshire, as commuters had to watch their driving as they hit ponding water on the street. Vehicles hitting water at high speed, well, that could send huge sprays of water into the air. Here it comes, whoosh. That's potentially a dangerous situation. It may cause you to lose control of your vehicle, so we urge you to watch your highway speeds in that type of conditions. Looking at the national satellite, and boy, there's quite a storm brewing up in the northeast. We've detailed the action on the snow side, and on the milder side, we're still picking up some rain. It's advancing on up into the northeast quad of the country, raining on up into Maine, but snowing back into Chicago. That's because all the low is right in here, and the storm system's pulling that milder air northward. So Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Columbus, Detroit, where it may be raining now, it looks like it'll be snow in your future. More snow working its along the spine of the Rockies. It's more snow in the Cascades with rain in places like around Seattle and Portland. National Digital Radar beneath that deck of cloud and is seeing much of the energy still right in here, pivoting around. But there's also been some heavy thunderstorms that rumbled through Florida. They're out in the Florida Straits right now. But earlier today, as they rumbled on through central areas of Florida, they caused a few problems, especially with a twister touchdown. Look how vivid this is. Fortunately, there was only one injury in all this damage, as some of the roofs were peeled off by the tornado, trees falling into homes. This was in Polk County. That's about 50 to 75 miles southwest of Orlando, Florida. That's where much of the energy from this storm system struck. Boy, I tell you, it has been rough across that area in central Florida.